pays homage to the legendary Indian Jim Thorpe. He came to Carlisle in 1904 as a half-breed truant and left 8 years later as the greatest athlete the world had ever seen. He then led pro football out of its rag days and captured the imagination of every sports writer in America.
Recently, Jim Thorpe was named the greatest athlete in history. The big Indian from way out west is nearly a myth now. But unlike most myths, he needs no fiction to add luster to his deeds. The truth is breathtaking enough. Arthur Daly, The New York Times.
In later years, the myth was hard to live up to, and his proud Native American heritage had become both a blessing and a curse. Jim Thorpe was born under the Indian name Bright Path in Oklahoma Territory, 1888. By this time, outside influences had infiltrated the Sac and Fox Nation, and this combustible mixture produced dangerous men like Hiram Thorpe, son of an Irish father and a Sac and Fox mother. Hiram had at least 5 wives and 19 children, many of whom were sent to federal boarding schools, where the U.S. government tried to take the Indian out of them.
With Indian education, I'm a Baptist, because I believe in immersing them in our civilization, then holding them under until they are thoroughly soaked. Richard Pratt, Superintendent, Carlisle Indian School.
We got up by bells, ate by bells, went to class by bells, and were forbidden to speak our native tongue. That's why so many tried to run away. Stella Rulin, Carlisle Indian School.
Dear sir, I have a boy who is 14 years old. Please send him to Carlisle, as I don't know what to do with him. His name is James Thorpe. Respectfully yours, Hiram Thorpe.
Today, the Carlisle Indian School barracks still stand on the grounds of the U.S. War College. Nearby is the same playing field where Carlisle coach Pop Warner first saw Jim Thorpe.
One day they were high jumping, and he come in out of the field with these regular old shoes, you know, that he worked in the field in, and these boys were jumping 5.5 feet. Jim says, well, I can jump that. So he, just with these regular work shoes on, he went over the bar with no bra, and Pop Warner saw him and said, who's that boy? They said, that's Jim Thorpe. He said, get him a uniform.
Bright Path became Warner's greatest star, as the Carlisle Indians played and defeated the nation's finest colleges, and their coach used psychological warfare.
From the shores of Little Bighorn to the banks of Wounded Knee Creek, the spirits of your people call to you today. These men you play against are the Long Knives. Tonight we will know whether or not you are warriors. Pop Warner, head coach, Carlisle Indian School. Thorpe alone beat us, and I realized that here was the theoretical super player in flesh and blood. Percy Houghton, head coach, Harvard.
In the Stockholm Olympics of 1912, Thorpe's running, jumping, and throwing seemed to me those of a superman. He won the pentathlon by a massive margin, then the decathlon by nearly 700 points. Sir, said the King of Sweden, you are the greatest athlete in the world. Thanks, King, said Thorpe. The Right Honorable Philip Noel Baker, International Olympic Committee.
Almost before his welcome home had ended, Thorpe's Olympic medals were taken back because he had earned a few dollars playing semi-pro baseball, along with hundreds of other college athletes. As a pro, Thorpe played 6 years of Major League Baseball, but his Superman reputation was put to best use in Canton, Ohio.
My business advisor said I was crazy to pay Jim $250 a game, but our attendance went from 1,200 to 8,000 the first time he played. Jack Cusack, Canton Bulldogs.
Jim Thorpe brought pro football out of rural America and into a national spotlight. And in 1920, he was named the NFL's first president.
Thorpe was quite an attraction. Before the game, he would go out to the 50-yard line. He would stand on the 50-yard line and drop kick that ball and kick it over the goalpost, practically every time. Then he would turn around and do the opposite goalpost.
When it was finally time to leave the game, Thorpe found life outside the arena difficult and confusing. In the end, Bright Path never did find his place in the white man's world. But his athletic genius may never be duplicated, and his influence on professional football will never be forgotten.